Talent Management 2030 is the grand plan to build the future of the Marine Corps. All Marines know that the personnel systems we've had to use are terribly dated and very annoying to use. The United States Marine Corps is the most respected fighting force in the world. In order to maintain this reputation, we need to make sure that we have the best and brightest Marines serving our country. That's why Talent Management 2030 was developed. This is the grand plan to build the future of the Marine Corps. With this new system, the Marine Corps will be able to attract and retain the best Marines possible. The following is a summary of the Marine Corps Talent Management 2030. This is a plan that the Commandant released for the purposes of revamping the personnel policies of the Marine Corps. I encourage you to share your thoughts throughout this video by commenting on this video. Make sure to include a timestamp so that others may reference what you are commenting on. If this audio sounds peculiar, it's because I am using artificial intelligence to speak on my behalf. It is trained on a model using my own voice. I love applying the latest technologies in my own life, and if you would like to learn more, check out the links in my description below. This is some exciting stuff, and without further ado, let's begin. The urgency of change. Our current system of personnel management, like those of the other services, was designed in the industrial era and predates a host of cultural and technological developments that characterize today's world. America's post-World War II national security priorities shaped the development of our personnel system. Our manpower model aimed to create and maintain an enlisted force predominantly composed of young troops. For officers expected to command units of young men with minimal education, leadership ability was understandably the most important. This led Congress to pass the Officer Personnel Act of 1947, a corps of Marines that is more intelligent, physically fit, cognitively mature, and experienced. We need a system that can identify each Marine's talents, help them develop those talents into skills and aptitudes. Without fundamental change to our personnel system, executed at speed, we risk undermining the larger goals of Force Design 2030. Our modern operational concepts and organizations cannot reach their full warfighting potential without a talent management system. In 2019, Congress gave both service secretaries and service chiefs new and significant authorities. My intent is to use these new authorities, exercise those we already possess, and seek support for any additional authorities required. Our initial changes will trace 4 broad categories, each of which will be described in detail in the body of this report. Implementation of new models for recruiting talent. Establishment of an assignments process consistent with our warfighting philosophy. Introduction of new initiatives to increase career flexibility, and adoption of modern digital tools, processes, and analytics consistent with industry standards. While some changes will happen immediately, others will require significant adjustments to organizational structure and responsibilities. The Commandant expects the Marine Corps to move at speed in developing and implementing the initiatives listed in this document. Earlier era, it is no longer suited to our service needs or the expectations of the Americans who fill our ranks. The time for change is now. The current manpower system is not equipped to meet any of these objectives, except in the bluntest of ways. A talent management system recognizes that both Marines and billets come in different shapes and sizes. As the Marine Corps refocuses on naval expeditionary warfare, we must undergo parallel changes to our personnel system. The changes will ensure we are able to recruit and retain the right Marines for today's era of renewed global competition. Borrowing from ideas in the CJCS instruction, implementing joint force development and design. We cannot create a modern talent management system by adopting a force development approach. It begins and ends with preparedness for combat. Our ability to fight and win on future battlefields demands a personnel system that can recruit, develop, and retain. Tenets of a talent management system. Marines are individuals, not inventory. Personnel management system views personnel as individuals with different skills, strengths, interests, and motivations. Data can provide powerful insights about the talents and strengths of both an individual Marine and a unit. The Marine Corps can help cultivate an individual's talents with the right education, training, and experience. The responsibility for talent development rests with the Marine. Matching talents to duties maximize performance. A Marine Corps that matches Marines' talents to their duties will perform at a higher level in competition and combat. Incentives power the system. While all Marines are motivated to serve, they are also humans, and human behavior is driven by incentives. High-performing Marines should be promoted faster and assigned to our most challenging and consequential billets. They should be further incentivized to excel and develop their talents. High-performing Marines are identified and actively retained, regardless of military occupational specialty. Talented Marines can often apply their strengths in a wide variety of positions. Data drives decision-making. Successful personnel organizations rely on data and analytics. Talent management. Talent management is the act of aligning the talents of individual Marines with the needs of the service. It describes a system of institutional processes and policies designed to attract, develop, retain, and incentivize the most talented and best performing Marines. A talent management system identifies an individual Marine's talents and helps them develop those talents. This system also identifies and rewards the most talented with tough assignments, accelerated promotions, educational opportunities, additional pay, duty station preference, and other incentives. Diversity, equity, inclusion, and talent management. The core ideas that underpin talent management reinforce what we all understand instinctively about our service. Marines make the Marine Corps. We have never defined ourselves by our equipment, organizational constructs, or operational concepts. Our identity has always been and will remain defined by the character, intelligence, courage, fitness, and talents of our people. The Marine Corps draws its collective strength and identity from all its Marines. To that end, we will commit to prioritizing diversity, equity, and inclusion as part of talent management. How should we understand diversity, equity, and inclusion in the context of talent management? What do these terms mean, why are they important, and how will we prioritize them? Every Marine has a unique personal background. The Corps benefits when it attracts, and remains attractive to, Marines from a range of backgrounds. Research in behavioral economics illustrates that teams with diverse perspectives and modes of thinking solve problems faster and more creatively. In this way, diversity provides us a competitive warfighting advantage over our adversaries. Some Marines lack the mentorship, opportunities, or education that would enable them to take full advantage of their talents. Fostering equity in the force is about equal treatment, access, advancement, and opportunity for all Marines. The Marine Corps is known across the globe as an elite force with elite standards for leadership, intelligence, and fitness. Once an individual earns the title Marine, they have made the grade. Our talent management system will reinforce our leaders' focus on building inclusive teams. To be successful in competition and conflict in the 21st century, we must take full advantage of the talents, strengths, skills, and perspectives of every Marine. Our talent management system will support this imperative and our leaders in prioritizing diversity of thought. Equal number of replacements to fill the ranks. The Marine Corps is unique among the services in embracing an enlisted force model. The massive annual personnel turnover that the Marine Corps oversees is not the result of widespread disinterest or incompatibility. Instead, it is a consequence of service decisions made more than a generation ago to adopt a recruit and replace personnel model. In 2022, we will begin recalibrating our enlisted personnel model to better balance retention and recruiting. Marines in their mid to late 20s do more pull-ups, crunches, ammunition cans lifts, and run faster than Marines aged 17-22. A Marine Corps that matches Marines' talents to their duties will perform at a higher level in competition and combat, he says. New models for recruiting talent. The Corps continues to attract high-quality Americans who are inspired to serve their country as Marines. Unfortunately, our repeated successes in recruiting large cohorts of young Americans, year after year, has obscured three fundamental problems with the existing paradigm. First, we have created a personnel model that is overly focused on recruiting rather than retention. To maintain both our end strength and the right talents in our workforce, we must carefully calibrate and balance service investments in recruiting and retention. Second, due to both our demanding recruiting goals and the absence of appropriate tools, we are not doing enough to screen and evaluate applicants. A robust screening and evaluation, executed prior to recruit training, will allow us to better assess each applicant's suitability for service. The Marine Corps requires a vehicle for rapidly recruiting mature, seasoned experts. We can no longer afford the cost and time to train and educate all our technical leaders. Rebalance recruiting and retention to mature the force. For the last 36 years, the Marine Corps has been committed to maintaining a predominantly first-term enlisted force. Success on future battlefields will require our Marines to be more physically fit and cognitively mature. For instance, a more mature rifle squad composed of second-term Marine sergeants, kept together over years, will be dramatically more capable than squads we have produced in the past. Recalibrating our current enlisted personnel model is the first step in producing this more mature force. Enhancing assessment of potential recruits. 20% of those recruited do not complete their first enlistments, a strong indicator that the service can do better. Every year we separate thousands of Marines before they complete their initial contracts. A slightly older force will have better cognitive function and make better decisions in aggregate. We will begin by placing more emphasis on data analytics across the recruiting enterprise. A person is psychologically at a deficit, more likely to make poor decisions and accept unnecessary risk. Third, maturing the force will increase the readiness of our warfighting units and stability across our MEFs. For example, today we accept as natural a personnel model that limits the ability of our infantry battalions to maintain a consistent level of readiness. Moving away from a recruiting-centric personnel model will prevent such dramatic swings in readiness. A first-term lance corporal earns a lower salary than a sergeant on their second enlistment. Can the service afford a more mature force? A simple salary comparison is a poor way to evaluate the overall cost encumbrance of a new personnel. Today we are out of balance, placing too much emphasis on recruiting new personnel to maintain end strength, and too little emphasis on identifying and retaining the most talented individuals already in our ranks. In 2022, we will begin experimenting with a new process. The Commandant is confident that we can develop a model that leverages the power of artificial intelligence while effectively managing entry-level training pipeline restrictions of more than a minor nature. The Commandant instituting a blanket prohibition on waivers for any applicant previously convicted of sexual assault offenses, creating a path to lateral entry. Our current enlisted recruiting model is optimized for recruiting teenagers, and for officers, those in their early 20s. In other words, there is currently only one way to join the Marine Corps at the bottom. The Marine Corps starts from scratch, providing every Marine with all the education, training, and experience they need to progress in their career. It takes time to build critical skills and expertise. The Marines are more likely to leave active duty before the end of their first enlistment. The implications are clear and powerful. Employing better analytics can improve recruiting and conserve service resources. The Marine Corps will introduce a comprehensive psychological evaluation for all applicants. This practice is common in other professional fields, including special operations forces, law enforcement, fire and emergency responders, and some industry. Third, we will retool how we assign our enlisted recruits to military occupational specialties. Today's process is mostly arbitrary, with MOS assignments being driven by recruit shipping dates. Qualified applicants in select specialties, not used as a means to recruit en masse. We will also develop return-to-service options for Marines who have left active duty. One option will allow those Marines no longer on active duty, but who continue to meet our high standards to return to their former rank. Specialized recruiting for individuals with critical skills. As we develop the mechanisms for granting career credit to qualified civilians, we will develop in parallel new ways for finding and recruiting talent. We will establish an office within Marine Corps Recruiting Command to exclusively focus on recruiting. As a result of the significant lead time necessary to build expertise, we are unable to respond quickly to changes in the security environment. We should have an open door for exceptionally talented Americans who wish to join the Marine Corps, allowing them to laterally enter at a rank appropriate to their education, experience, and ability. In 2019, Congress granted the Service Secretary's authority to award career credit to highly qualified civilians. The Commandant views this authority as a powerful tool to attracting talent, particularly in low-density, high-demand fields. The opportunity for lateral entry will be limited and primarily reserved for recruiting highly. Not every MOS will be open to lateral entrance. Assignments. Our service culture and warfighting philosophy is highly entrepreneurial. We trust our small unit leaders to creatively solve battlefield problems. We decentralize command and control, push responsibility to the lowest levels. Commanders are largely excluded from the process. Marines are told what job they will fill and when and where they will move their families. The assignments process is more reminiscent of a centrally planned economy than a cutting-edge American meritocracy. It does not efficiently and effectively match the talent of individual Marines with available billets across our Corps. Creating a talent marketplace. Talent marketplace will allow Marines to apply for billets online. Units will post job information about available billets. Marines apply for those positions virtually. Monitors will serve as overall managers and arbiters. For commanders, who have little say in personnel assignment decisions, a digital talent marketplace will give them a higher degree of control. For the first time, commanders will have the ability to highlight and prioritize the specific professional and educational backgrounds they seek in their key leaders. For Marines, a talent marketplace will increase available information about billet openings. This will allow Marines to match their talents and experience to specific billet requirements. For the first time, Marines will have the opportunity to apply for jobs based on their career goals, interests, and family situation. Today's Marine Corps monitors are in the unenviable position of trying to match the professional experience and personal desires of their populations with the staffing requirements of dozens of units across the Corps. Digital Talent Marketplace will free monitors from the manual task of matching Marines to units and instead enable them to manage the system. A talent marketplace would increase available information about billet openings, improve transparency, and provide individuals with far greater influence over their future assignments. Serve as arbiters and spend more energy identifying the most highly talented individuals in our Corps. ensuring they receive the most career-enhancing billets. Reduce PCS frequency. Marines are accustomed to the predictable frequency of permanent change of station moves. This pattern is not replicated among high-performing civilian organizations. The assignments process should build unit cohesion and create conditions that best enable commanders to lead, train, and employ their forces for competition and conflict. Unfortunately, the scale of the annual PCS cycle serves to degrade these dynamics have challenged the institution for decades. Commandant Gray's 1990 assessment on the importance of building unit cohesion. The most critical element of a unit's combat power is its cohesion. The frequency of PCS moves also puts enormous strain on our families, who already sacrifice considerably to support their Marines. In particular, moves are highly disruptive to spousal employment, as well as the educational stability of dependents. Beginning in 2022, monitors will seek to keep Marines and their families in the same geographic duty station as long as opportunities for career growth exist. Marines should expect to move as part of their normal career progression. 360-degree feedback. Selection boards seek to identify the best and most fully qualified candidates. Fitness reports provide critically important but limited insights into a Marine's strengths and weaknesses. 360-degree feedback includes the perspectives of a larger number of seniors, peers, and juniors. This feedback is thus an important vehicle for expanding our understanding of a Marine's strengths and weaknesses. 360-degree feedback is already employed by various organizations within the Marine Corps. DOT are a proven means for identifying traits of toxic leadership, can help reduce the incidence of toxic leaders advancing to senior levels. Beginning in 2022, we will institute 360-degree feedback for leaders on a pilot basis. This feedback will be made available to the Marine and their reporting senior. No later than 2024, we will incorporate 360-degree feedback into the selection board and assignments processes. Substantiated allegations impact assignments. Convictions for sexual-related offenses will be prominently noted in a Marine's record. Marines with a substantiated allegation of harassment or discrimination are disqualified from command selection or assignment. Increasing career flexibility. Rigid career paths are a natural consequence of our industrial age system, which places a premium on building common experience. While this may be most evident in our officer ranks, it impacts enlisted Marines as well, with three primary consequences. The lack of career flexibility reduces the diversity of experience and education among our senior leaders. To be promoted to the highest ranks, officers must strictly follow well-worn career paths on a set timeline. Second, our current system places all officers on the command track, which is profoundly wasteful of human capital. Success of our warfighting units depends on good leadership in both command and staff positions. Third, the rigidity of the personnel system limits our ability to accommodate the changing career interests and family situations of our Marines. Retaining talent requires meeting Marines where they are, not penalizing them for changing interests. We must keep doors open for talented Marines who desire to continue serving. There is always a boat space for talent. Promotion opt-out. Our current promotion model incentivizes officers to pursue conventional career paths. Officers are disincentivized from pursuing unconventional career experiences or education that may yield long-term benefits. While the service will continue to value both key billets and professional military education, we must also create paths that increase the diversity of experience. Encouraging diversity among our leaders is both a vehicle for improving service-level problem-solving and a way to gain a competitive warfighting advantage over our adversaries. In 2022, we will begin developing policy options and initiatives to encourage leaders to pursue career-expanding opportunities. The Army and Air Force have instituted similar policies based on congressional changes to the law in 2019, creating a path for talented staff officers. For officers in our industrial age personnel system, all roads lead to command. By emphasizing, screening for, and promoting to command leadership skills and experiences, we necessarily de-emphasize and deprioritize the leadership skills of good staff officers. Our personnel system and service culture must recognize that superior performance and proficiency are not exclusive characteristics of commanders or officers seeking command. Marine Corps units and staffs will be most effective when led by officers with the appropriate skills and experience. Possible changes may include adjustments to fitness reports for officers to allow Marines to indicate a preference for command or staff roles. Adjustments to fitness reports for majors and lieutenant colonels, with reporting seniors and reviewing officers indicating whether a Marine is better suited to serve in command or staff leadership roles. Selection of some primary staff officers and technically specialized staff positions. Creation of a board-selected professional staff officer track. Lateral move retention incentive. Exit surveys suggest that some top-performing Marines leave service due to the lack of perceived opportunities in uniform. Unable to pursue a new and different career focus in the Marine Corps, they seek alternatives in the private sector or through advanced education. For the truly exceptional Marine who wants to continue serving, we will begin offering the option of a lateral move into another primary MOS. We will place few, if any, restrictions on which MOS assignment they seek. Retaining high-performing officers. Company-grade officers and majors are automatically screened for resident professional military education. Officers selected for PME or RSCO are among our best, and their selection indicative of their future potential. In 2022, we will give our company-grade officers and majors the ability to remove their names from consideration by the Commandant's Career Level Education Board. We will extend to these officers the same opportunity afforded to lieutenant colonels and colonels. Enhancing parental leave. Too many Marines starting families, especially female Marines, decide to leave service, fearing that parenthood will be incompatible with their careers. Beginning in 2022, the Marine Corps will begin making several key updates to our parental leave program. First, we will seek to secure the necessary departmental and statutory authorities to increase the duration of parental leave for both primary and secondary caregivers. For the primary caregiver, we will seek an expansion of leave for up to 1 year in length. We will study the matter further over the coming months to determine the ideal length of leave. Second, until those authorities are obtained, we will authorize primary and secondary caregivers to take additional parental leave when they agree to extend their service contracts. For the secondary caregiver, we will expand caregiver leave from 2 weeks to 3 weeks, in keeping with the practices of the Army and Air Force. We will encourage Marine fathers and other secondary caregivers to take leave to bond with their newborns. Third, we will implement a phased return program for the primary caregiver. We will initiate a pilot program in 2022. Whereby primary caregivers will have virtual or in-person check-in days during their last 2 to 3 weeks of parental leave. We will carefully study the best practices of top-performing American companies and institutions, always with an eye to enhancing our service parental leave programs as new research becomes available. Making all officers conform to fit industrial age notions of leadership inefficiently matches the talent of our officers with appropriate billets, he said. The emergence of big data, coupled with recent advances in AI and machine learning, has changed the analytical landscape. We can interrogate data more easily and gain insights from it more readily than ever before. Our personnel enterprise should be at the vanguard of service efforts to operationalize artificial intelligence. Further, enabling the change we seek will require shedding or upgrading antiquated human resource data systems. At the same time, we must refine standard administrative processes with the aim of simplifying and digitizing, prioritizing data and employing better analytics. The Marine Corps is awash in personnel data, yet does very little to analyze it. When it comes to data analytics, we have barely scratched the surface of the possible. The potential for better analytics to improve institutional decision-making cannot be overstated. To maximize the vast potential of artificial intelligence, we need both more data and better data, structured in a format appropriate for analysis. Whereas we have often purged useless data in the past, we will now preserve data to the maximum extent possible. Digitization of the reenlistment process. The current reenlistment process is a burdensome, time-consuming, paper-driven process. Marines trekking from one program manager to the next to acquire physical signatures. The package is then routed back to the career planner for manual entry into a digital system. The Marine Corps gains nothing by adhering to a cumbersome process that makes reenlistment difficult. It is time to streamline and digitize to reduce obstacles to reenlistment and save leaders time. No later than 2023, we will adopt digital mechanisms and tools to enhance the reenlistment process. Board members have limited access to the complete records of the Marines they are briefing. Given the time constraints of the board process, little data-driven analysis is conducted during our boards. Boardrooms should equip decision support tools to aid briefers in the critical task of choosing our future leaders. Powered by AI. These tools will offer a wide range of options for interrogating, analyzing, and visualizing the tremendous data at our fingertips. Expansion of virtual boards. The rapid expansion and improvement of platforms for virtual meetings portends new possibilities for virtual promotion and selection boards. The effectiveness of new communications platforms should encourage us to ask fundamental questions about our board processes. In 2022, we will publish findings on the potential advantages and disadvantages of using virtual platforms to execute some or all service promotion and selection boards. If Americans can apply for home loans and sign legal contracts using their smartphones, we can streamline our administrative requirements, he says. Today's Marine will type their application using the proper memorandum format, combine it with various attachments, including hard copies of records that are digitally available. The MECEP application process is rightfully one of our most comprehensive. The fact that it requires 61 pages of instructions and templates highlights a problem in the system. If Americans can apply for home loans and sign legal contracts using their smartphones, we can streamline our administrative requirements. This will simplify our Marines' lives, allowing them to focus on what matters most, preparing mentally and physically for the rigors of combat. Upgrading HR systems. Our uniformed and civilian human resource professionals are managing the personnel enterprise with outdated HR data systems. At the same time, our individual Marines lack effective digital HR tools to access and update critical career information. In 2022, the Marine Corps will commission a study to better understand how to develop and implement a modern HR data architecture, reducing onerous, paperwork-heavy administrative processes. Many of our standard administrative processes are stuck in the analog industrial era. As a consequence, Marines spend far too much time on administrative actions and paperwork. A talent management system identifies an individual Marine's talents, helps them develop those talents through education, training, mentorship, and experience.